What's up guys, how's everybody doing? Today we're going to take a look at a cheap socket 1155 motherboard with some bent pins. We're going to fix it. We're going to pair it with an i3-2100 and a GTX 285 for some 2010-ish gaming. On another note, I just set up this little retro gaming station here in the office. It's got a new CRT TV, brand new. I got it boxed, a Dreamcast, a Sony PlayStation 1, and a Super Nintendo. I'm terribly excited about that. I'm a bit afraid it's going to ruin my productivity, but if you want to talk some more about that, go ahead and say so in the comment section, and let's get back to the i3. We all know how PC prices went up, and sockets like the 1155 for Intel processors that were already obsolete came back being relevant by sheer demand of hardware. Well, it turns out broken hardware is much cheaper, and the socket 1155 motherboard here was bought on the cheap, but with a caveat: many bent socket pins. Fixing this shouldn't be very difficult. All we need to do is bend back the pins. There are a few things to take note. Pins are not straight to begin with, so it's difficult to see if they are in the proper place. The pins are very small, so get a magnifying glass or a microscope so you can see them. The zoom on a smartphone camera can help. If the system isn't working properly after the first go, disassemble the system and try it again. Okay, the pins look half decent now, so let's get our little processor here and try it out. Hopefully that worked. If it didn't, I have wasted money on this. This is an i3-2100, a very capable processor for the year 2011, but kind of slow for today's standards. It has got two 3.1 GHz cores with hyper-threading. It will do fine on games that don't require a lot of cores. Great for the time period we are going for with this system, around 2010, and the high core clock will be the most important aspect. Alright, system does work, but I have to tell you, the first time around, the system wouldn't boot with 2 sticks of RAM. I talked to a few people about this and realized there was a chance that could be caused by a faulty connection on the pins, so I disassembled everything and tried again. Second time around, the 2 sticks of RAM are working nice. We are pairing this processor from 2011 with a beefy video card from 2009, a GTX 285. The GTX 285 is based on the GT200 chip. The core runs at 648 MHz, shaders at 1476, and it has 1GB of GDDR3 memory running at 2484 with a 512-bit bus. You gotta love that bandwidth. The OS we are using for this combo is Windows 7. Windows 7 was a breath of fresh air compared to the OS that came before it, Windows Vista, which was very resource hungry. Windows 7 was released in 2009, and although Windows 8 was released only a few years after that, 2012, many people, and me included, skipped Windows 8 altogether and went straight to Windows 10, as Windows 8 had problems of its own, like a stupid tablet OS layout on the desktop. System is ready, so let's start running some games. We'll start with a game from 2008 and one game of each year until 2012. That'll put our system right in the middle. All of the games will run on 1280 by 1024, although I prefer the 16 by 10 resolution of 1680 by 1050 as an intermediate between Full HD and HD ready. According to the Steam survey in 2010, 5x4 was still the most popular aspect ratio. Far Cry 2 was used to sell some of the graphics cards we are using, so I think it's a great matchup. This game takes place in the beautiful African savannah. It's a big step up from Far Cry 1, and graphics quality wise, it does well in filling the gap between Far Cry 1 and 3. The one thing I don't really enjoy about this game is that everything is so brown. But it's a good game, pretty impressive when it came out in October of 2008. As far as performance goes, the game runs smooth as butter, reaching more than 70 FPS in most times, using DirectX 10 at very high settings. There's one thing I must say, and that is that I was getting constant lockups in DirectX 9, and on DirectX 10 there was only a couple of lockups, but this has no relation to the machine. This game is known to be buggy. The Saboteur is a game released in 2009, and it takes place in 1940 in Nazi-occupied Paris. An interesting characteristic of this game is that heavily Nazi-occupied areas are black and white. The game is fun. It has got an Assassin's Creed feel to it in some moments, mixed with the Mafia and Wolfenstein. I plan to play more of this in the future. Cool game, runs at about 60 FPS. The game has no graphical settings options, and it defaults to VSync on. Bioshock 2 was released in 2010, so it's a great matchup for this combo. To me, this game is a bit overshadowed by the success of Bioshock 1 and the amazing production on Bioshock Infinite, and I haven't really given it a chance, but it's always cool to take another look at Rapture, the underwater steampunk city this game takes place on. I'm not a fan of the evil looking little girl though. The game runs at well over 100 FPS, reaching the 200s in some area. Keep in mind this is not the remastered version, it's the original from 2010, the year we are going for with the system. From 2011 we have Deus Ex Human Revolution. This was the only game in the series I enjoyed. I played quite a bit of it, and the one aspect that made me stop before reaching the end was that I thought the missions were getting a bit repetitive, but I enjoy revisiting this. The game already had the cyberpunk vibe way back in 2011. As for performance, the game runs at 60 to 90 FPS in maximum settings. For a final test, we have a game from 2012, Dishonored. This game was a massive hit. It has very interesting artwork, characters have caricature style faces with big hands and arms, and you sort of get magic tricks to control rats, blink, have night vision, all to achieve the goals proposed to you in this crazy steampunk dystopian world. I only played a bit of this game with the purpose to test the hardware, but it deserves more attention. The little I have seen has got me excited. The game runs in max settings and most of the time over 100 FPS. So in conclusion, this was a period of great modern gaming. We played only a few games, but there's a bunch of games you can play with a system like this. In truth, you can install Windows 10 in this system and do day-to-day tasks as long as they're not very demanding like video editing. The resolution is a tough one. This was a transitional period between 5x4 and 16:9. Some people stopped at the 16:10 resolution, some went straight to the 16:9. We chose the 5x4 resolution because the Steam hardware survey said that most gamers at this point were using 1280 by 1024. So I hope you got some useful information out of this video, or at least had some fun. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.